Defensive lineman J.J. Watt reveals his final decision of potentially joining the Pittsburgh Steelers this season once and for all. So, it's no surprise that ever since J.J. Watt hit free agency and decided to call it a career, retiring from the NFL, many Steelers fans have reached out to J.J. Watt, whether they see him in public or even on social media, to potentially join the Steelers this season for one final run with his brothers. So, obviously, the Steelers fans want to see J.J. Watt with T.J. Watt on the defensive line on the same side, wreaking havoc on the running back, and not only the running back, getting sacks on the quarterback. Seeing a brother duo in Pittsburgh is a Steelers fan's dream. And it's not like J.J. Watt, in his final career game, or final career season that is, didn't put up big production. He put up really big production, and he played in 16 games. He was able to stay healthy and put up 12.5 sacks and 18 tackles for loss. So bringing that to Pittsburgh for one more year is what Steelers fans want. But on a podcast done with Pardon My Take, PFT host brought up the possibility of J.J. Watt coming out of brief retirement in order to play maybe one season more with his brothers. PFT host said this: "There's some rumors out there flying around that you are still maybe entertaining the idea of playing for the Steelers next year." But J.J. Watt responded by giving big praise to the Steelers fans and saying how great they are. Here's his comments. "The Steelers fans are really one of the best fan bases I've ever witnessed in my life. Everywhere I go, hey, I love you, but I'm a huge Steelers fan, so I love your brother. Hey, come to the Steelers." So, obviously, Steelers fans want to see him, and every single time on social media or in person, they're bringing up the fact that they want J.J. Watt on the Steelers. But J.J. Watt shut that down immediately in his next comments. Here that is. "But no, I will not be playing for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'll be going to a game at Heinz Field to watch my brothers play." So, obviously, J.J. Watt has shut down the idea of playing for the Steelers next season, even though many fans want it, and maybe even T.J. Watt wants it, Derek Watt wants it. J.J. Watt has other plans. He just had a child, and obviously has a wife, so now he maybe wants to spend more time with the family instead, and not make it hard on his body, and spend more time with the family, and do things that he wants to do outside of football, and not have to train non-stop. But J.J. Watt did mention this. Week 17, $10 million. That's still on the table. So obviously, he brought up the fact that obviously he doesn't want to play through a whole season. He doesn't want to get his body used to it and kind of have to train every day. But he said if week 17 comes and $10 million are on the table, that deal is still there. Meaning that he doesn't have to go through a whole season. If he just signs for the playoffs and the last week of the regular season for $10 million and the money's right, he might even think about doing that. But obviously, that doesn't take in the fact that he's not going to be training in the off season. He's not going to be working out to keep himself in shape, because obviously that's not what he's been doing either. And he even said that in his next comments. "That's the whole reason I can tell you right now. For a fact, I'm not coming back. For me to play this season, I would have to be training my body right now. My body, if I had to play right now, I would not be able to perform. I haven't run since the last game of the 2022 NFL season." So, like I said, he mentioned the $10 million if it's on the table for week 17 and the Steelers need him for a final playoff run. Sure, that's on the table because he doesn't have to go through a whole training camp, whole OTAs, whole season of workload on his body. But he also said that he's not going to keep himself in shape. He's not going to make himself have to be prepared, and that's why he knows that he's not going to be returning to the NFL and with the Steelers one last year. But one could have imagined having a defensive line of Cameron Hayward, T.J. Watt, Alex Highsmith, Larry Ogunjobi, and J.J. Watt. That would have been the best defensive line in football because you could have all those guys rushing in. For example, you have one side of the defensive line with Alex Highsmith and Cameron Hayward on the right side, and then on the left side, you have J.J. Watt and T.J. Watt rushing from the same side. Imagine that. We've seen how dynamic of a duo it was with Larry Ogunjobi and T.J. Watt on the same side, and Cameron Hayward and Alex Highsmith on the same side. Now imagine having all five of those guys at the same time. The Steelers' run defense would have been unstoppable, and even their pass rush. The Steelers are always one of the highest in the league in sacks, and TJ Watt's last fully healthy season, he broke the record in sacks. Actually, he tied it. But imagine that with 12.5 sacks added to the team. Larry Ogunjobi put up big production next to TJ Watt this past season, even though it was a short and limited time. But now imagine JJ Watt adding his 12.5 sacks and 18 tackles for loss to the Steelers defense line. That could have been a big contributor to the Steelers, and he could have been a big mentor to the younger Steelers as well on the team, like Keanu Benton. Keanu Benton's obviously a rookie, and him having experience and learning from Cameron Hayward and one of the best defense linemen ever to play the game, JJ Watt, and a defensive player of the year in TJ Watt, him learning from all those guys would have been key. But obviously, JJ Watt, and as the podcast done with Pardon My Take and PFT host, the Steelers will not be getting JJ Watt, and the fans now can maybe stop bugging him to come to the Steelers for one more season. And right now, Derek Watt is not even signed with the team. They have so many tight ends, so many fullbacks on the team right now that who knows if Derek Watt's even going to be back to the Steelers this season. So it would have only been TJ Watt and JJ Watt. But obviously, the idea was shut down by JJ Watt, and he doesn't want to get the body, and he wants to spend more time with the family. The Watt brothers in interviews always mention how it has been a dream of them to all play together on the same team from when they're children growing up, playing backyard football, playing basketball in the driveway, to play on the same football team just in general, because they grew up playing sports together, and obviously because they're brothers. One could have thought back when JJ Watt left Houston, that he was going to sign with the Steelers. There were many rumors going on 2 years ago when JJ Watt was just leaving Houston that the Steelers were going to sign him because they had TJ Watt, because they had just signed Derek Watt. But obviously that was shut down quickly when JJ Watt signed with the Cardinals for 2 years and $16 million per year. That was a lot of money, and the Steelers at the time just couldn't afford to pay JJ Watt that big of a contract coming off of many injuries. So that Houston, coming straight out from Houston when Steelers fans wanted him then, he didn't sign with the Steelers. He went to the Cardinals, and now after retirement, it doesn't look like he's joining the Steelers. JJ Watt, even before that podcast, on social media, he put out this comment: "Incredible coach and incredible man. There's a reason your players would run through a brick wall for you." Obviously, he's talking about Mike Tomlin here. "Been a pleasure hearing Derek and TJ Watt share stories about you and your leadership. Hope to come visit sometime if you'll have me." And then Mike Tomlin responded by saying, "Would love to have you come to the facility. You are welcome anytime." So obviously, JJ Watt has great respect for Mike Tomlin, obviously coaching both of his brothers. And also, even Ike Taylor on social media said to JJ Watt, "Hey JJ, just to stay in shape. You might get a phone call throughout the year. Go on, stay in shape just in case." So obviously, even Ike Taylor, former Steelers cornerback, wants to see JJ Watt on the Steelers with his brothers. So JJ Watt, in final, will not be coming to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the idea for the 100th time is now shut down, and this should be the final conversation about it. So, with that being said, let me know down in the comments below. How do you feel about this? Would you have wanted JJ Watt to come to the Steelers, or were you one of the people that were against it? You didn't want him to come because he's older and he's been kind of injury prone his last few years in the league. I know this last season he played 16 games, but before that he was kind of injury prone, always getting injured. So were you one of the people who didn't want him, or would you have wanted to see the duo of TJ Watt, JJ Watt, or even Cameron Hayward on the defensive line together? Let me know down in the comments below. And also, do you think there's anyone else out there in free agency that the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to bring in to join the team, maybe on a vet minimum deal, or even if on the XFL, when that season finishes, the Steelers are allowed to sign players once that season finishes? Do you think the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to sign anyone else in free agency, or do you think this is going to be their final roster heading into the NFL season? Let me know down in the comments below. And also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel as well if you like serious content, analysis, reports. Like the video, turn on post notifications down below for this channel as well, so you get notified whenever I post next year's video. I covered all of free agency, and I covered all the draft, so everyone we signed, and every drafted player that we have, and even undrafted players, all their profiles and introductions to the team are on the channel, so if you want to go watch it, go ahead. And Everything from OTAs, minicamp, and everything in the future, news and rumors, just know I'm covering it. So like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys all later. Till next time, I'm out. Peace.